so excited to have Nina Falcos on here with us today. She is the designer and publisher of Impropriety. I actually had the pleasure of reviewing her game and found it to be one of the most unique gameplay experiences that I've come encounter with because it's not a typical board game as you would think it would be, right? It's more of a story wrapped up into a board game, and you can make your own story as you go along. It's a wonderful experience, more so than an actual gameplay.
Oh,
Nina,
you are making me
would you
blush.
like to? Huh?
Thank you. That is so sweet. That makes me so happy to hear. I just, yeah. Hello to everybody, by the way. Thank you for having me, Heather. It's my first time doing a live, so bear with me. I tend to ramble, so forgive me if that happens a little too much. I've already told Heather to cut me off if that happens. But thank you for having me on, and thank you for playing Impropriety. It was such an honor to be able to send it to you. And yeah, it really meant a lot that you played it and also enjoyed it. That was such a treat. So thank you.
Yes, I mean both me and my husband had such like unique experiences with it. I know that we spoke a little bit before, and one of my favorite moments was whenever we were playing and my husband messaged my nieces and nephews and we're like, "I'm trying to find me a husband,"
I love
and
it.
I'm like, "What are you doing?"
That's amazing. Actually, you know what's so funny? So there's a bunch of couples who have played it now, and
Hmm.
it's funny how vicious the husbands get about wanting to marry Lord Duffling. It's great. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's not often where you all have to play as ladies, and they're owning it
Yeah.
and they're running with it. And it's great. I love seeing that. It's so fun.
Yes, that is something that I absolutely love about the game too, is that in so many board games, women are often put in the position of having to play as a male character.
Sure.
While
Yeah.
on this one, you don't really have a choice. You are a Lancaster sister through and through, and that is the role that you play and you take on
Right.
in the game. It does have simple mechanics, but the story that you are forming as you go along with the game is personal in a way. You actually
Oh.
become these characters as you're going along. I remember messaging you too and be like, I am a very beautiful lady, but I also have very jealous habits. So we're gonna see how this
Hmm.
goes. We're still in the middle of playing.
Yes, every character is flawed, which I think makes
Yes,
for good literature. So we definitely made sure nobody is perfect, including Lord Duffling.
yes,
That's the fun part is he is not the typical, Hollywood star that would be in the front of a Jane Austen film, right? Um, he is a short, bald, very nice, very rich man, and it was sort of an
who cares? He's
experiment. We
rich.
just decided, yeah, right. We just decided to plunk this average but very rich man into a little town and see what happens. And all the ladies kind of flock to marry him, and it's a satire in that sense because, well, that was a reality in the Regency era. Was securing yourself, making sure that you and your children have that legacy, right? So we hyperbolized it, I guess. That's the best way of saying
Yes,
that. Yeah, we stretched that quite a bit, but that's what makes it funny. I think that was the goal, was to make it light, witty, and charming. I think those are the three words that when I hear those, that makes me the happiest. If people are getting that, yeah. So, do you want me to tell like a little synopsis of it? I guess.
you can. You can
Because
go ahead
we
and do a
started
little
talking about the
synopsis of the
characters,
game.
and I don't know if everyone knows what it's about. Um, so Impropriety is it feels like a novel wrapped around a board game, and it's supposed to feel like you're discovering a book, turning a page with your friends, right? Reading is such a solitary experience, but this is you're actually discovering the whole novel together. And so the setup of it is in the preface, and it is where Lord Duffling has come to town, and you are one of the Lancaster sisters, modeled after the Bennet sisters in a way. And
Yeah.
you need to marry rich because your father has messed up your finances severely. And if you don't marry rich, you're done for. So it is definitely um, a sabotage oriented game in that sense, where You all want to marry him, but also everyone else in the town wants to marry him, and all the other people are characters that pop up in the game. So yeah, your goal is to show up at this ball that is being thrown by Lord Duffling's friends, the Dawdlesbys, who own the richest manor, and that's actually a big part of our game board. And when you go to the ball, you have to be in your finest. You have to have tried to make yourself stand out. I think that's kind of the best way of saying it. But you know what? Life doesn't always go your way. And that is something that Impropriety leans into quite hard. Like, for example, you have to have, obviously, a dress to go to the ball, but they don't all fit quite right. And they have adverse effects on you, and you just have to make do. You just have to run with it, you know? It's not the perfect princess story. Like, did you get any of those cards where you were like, oh no, I have to drag this around? Or like, what did you get?
Oh my gosh. I did get my dress stolen from me, though.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen.
Yep.
But like we have I love him, aged limping donkey that
yes,
if you
I
can't
did
find
get that
elegant
card.
transportation, you're taking the donkey, and you just have to get to the ball. You have to make it work, right? And it's funny, we've even named him, he's Sir Clops a lot because he's become a beloved character in the game. So we named him now. And that's the thing, that's the fun thing, is I love a pun, so you're gonna see there's a lot of them in there. But these characters become inside jokes that live on beyond the game, which I love, because that's what happens when you read a book, and when you're in a book club and you share that experience with people, right? So I guess that's it in a nutshell. I didn't really talk about the gameplay part of it, but that's the story of Volume 1 of Impropriety. So
yes, I actually played the solo mode of this a lot too, and I found that it really does feel more so like reading a book whenever you're playing the solo mode, because you're flipping through the scenarios and you're going forward with the story each time. It definitely feels like a choose adventure book. And as like a 90s kid, I absolutely love that, because I loved choose your adventure book. Did you get any inspiration from that?
Oh, definitely nostalgia on that one. Absolutely. Yeah. I wanted to replace the cards in a book format. So but I didn't want it to be the same every single time. So I created in my office this like network of numbers of which scenarios will go where, and this whole maze, so that every time you play and you choose a different outcome, you're going to go in a different direction. And and as you progress through the solo mode, this is where it's different from the actual base game. The consequences of your decisions get more severe. So like in general, when you choose your outcome, that I should say that when you encounter any scenarios in Impropriety, your narrator, who's the person beside you, reads you your prompt and then says, would you rather do this or this? And then you choose, but you have no idea what's going to happen. And even if you think it sounds like the right answer, life doesn't always work that way. So there are some zany things that happen in this game. So the choose your own adventure side of the solo part, like the cards that are used in the multiplayer mode have to be vignettes that are not linear, because you have to shuffle them. They have to be encountered randomly, right? But in the solo mode, I wanted it to feel like it has a story arc. So at the beginning, little tiny consequences happen. You might lose $1 here, or, stumble, or something like that happens. But as you go through it, the rival sister that you are playing against gets meaner, and her consequences against you get meaner. So that's where I tried to build in the arc. And that's where it stands like a unique experience, but related to the base game, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
One thing that I enjoyed
how was that
too.
for you?
Huh?
Like, how was that experience for you? Like, did you notice that when you were playing?
One thing that I learned fairly quickly with playing the solo mode was that I really wanted to try to have as many interactions with Lord Duffling as possible, because I knew that if I did that, I would have a better chance of having better outcomes whenever I did encounter scenarios.
That's right.
Yeah. So I definitely tried to prioritize that for one, but also something that I absolutely love about it is that you can actually mark which scenarios you've gone through in the solo mode, and then try to choose differently so that you can have a different story, really making the game replayable. So I love that aspect of it too. And even the rival sister that was a part of the game, every time she triggers, you also have actions to trigger as well. So it's not
Hmm.
just like a normal automaton, like, okay, they're going to move to A7 or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was very interactive through and through with the solo mode. So I very much enjoyed that. Now, I do want to talk a bit about the creation of Impropriety,
Right.
and
Yeah.
something that I just learned from you is that you actually made this originally as a gift for your sister. Do you want
That's
to talk
right.
more
Yeah, I
about
did.
that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's so funny because you forget so many things that you do as a kid. And when I was younger, board games, I was obsessed. Like with my grandmother, that was how we bonded. So I played board games obsessively, and I've always been an artsy kind of creative person. I love crafts. And if ever like a random box came in the house or some weird thing came into our house, I'm like, I gotta make a game out of that. And so I'd make the most ridiculous games as a kid. Like one time we got a Christmas present that was in this weird tree box that had carpet on it. I'll never forget that. And I'm like, I'm gonna make a weird game about your pets that are trying to soil the tree or something like that. I don't know, it's weird. I'm a weirdo. So my mom, she's like, even to this day, she's like, yeah, I still have it. I have to store that dumb box because it doesn't fit anywhere.
Oh
I'll
my
never get rid of
goodness.
it. So then, games have always been my kind of escape in everything. My background is in classical music, so is my husband Devin's. And when you do a music degree, it is one of the most demanding degrees you can do. That is 110% of your time. It's just full force. You have to put everything else aside. And
Okay.
so I put aside my creative writing part of me. I did an English literature minor because I wanted to go into teaching, and you have to have a supplemental area that you can teach in. I love English literature anyway, so it fit. Um, but again, all the creative writing got put to the side. But then, fast forward to now, I'm aging myself a little bit, many years later. Um, when we moved here to Edmonton, yeah, we're here in the north in Canada, by the way, Canadian through and through. Um, we When we moved here to Edmonton from Vancouver, I wanted to take a step back from teaching. It was starting to affect my mental health, and I didn't realize
Yeah.
how much my mental health was affecting my physical health. And that was a long process to kind of unravel that. And then I can't sit still. I need to do something.
I know. I'm
um,
trying so hard not to
so
be like, woo, woo.
I just can't. I ants my pants. And Devin and I are escape room fiends, like absolute fiends. Every exit we've done it. Every unlock we have done it. We're always just like, oh, trying to find the next one. So I started making them. And I started making these ones that turned into dioramas. And 2 Christmases ago, I was making Devin his Christmas present. It was like this escape room that kind of, explodes all over the whole table as you discover it. And I had this moment, I'm like, I remember how much I liked doing this. I'm gonna make Steph a board game for Christmas. And I just had this kind of this eureka moment. And I spent too much money on crafting paper from Michael's, I admit it. I have a whole drawer full of it that's not used. So I grabbed out all the ones with all the flowers and I made a crafted version of the board and I hand wrote all the scenarios. I just started cranking them out and all the characters just started coming. I think I typed out the instructions because my handwriting is brutal sometimes. And I sent it to her for Christmas. Originally, the title was A Universal Truth. I'm really glad we stumbled on a different title now because I think that's a little clunky in the mouth. It's obviously a severe nod to Jane Austen. It's a little too on
Yes.
the nose, so we want to go a different route. But um, we did Christmas apart because they're over the Rockies, so we played it separately. And she loved it because it had that nostalgic feel, a little bit of some of the games we played when we were kids, right? But with the Regency lilt. And Steph is like a pinnacle of the Regency community. Like when it comes to costuming, she is the one who ends up on the front of the Jane Austen magazine or the magazine in Bath during the festival. She was in that. She is the most fabulous costume designer. She actually works in film and TV, and she's just the coolest job ever. Um, she also does graphic design, and she did all the great photography for our game. Like that was all her, just amazing work. Um,
Okay.
and so she played it and told her friends about it and played it with her friends. And there aren't very many Regency games out there, but the Regency community loves Regency things to do, activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they all said this has to be a thing. I was like, oh. okay, how do I do this? I had no idea, absolutely zero clue about Photoshop. That was an experience. My first, my first version of this, if I'm ever brave enough to show what I made on Microsoft Word as my first messing around with it. It is sad, but I look at it to make myself feel better sometimes. Um,
You've come so
so
far.
oh yeah, and so she taught me everything about Photoshop. She's a wizard at it, and she's very patient because when it comes to tech, if it doesn't work, I am so angry immediately. I'm just the shortest fuse when it comes to tech. And so she taught me everything from the ground up. And we discovered the color palette together and everything because I say that I'm like a quiet Regency fan. I love the literature and the reading of it and the movies and everything. And having studied it, I love it. But I'm not brave enough yet to go into the costuming world that she's so active in. So she got to bring that and the expertise in that sense to it. And it was such a great collaboration to work with her. And then it just evolved. I had to investigate how manufacturing worked. Wow, that was a learning curve. How does Kickstarter work? Had to figure that out. We sought out Launchboom. Thank goodness for them. That is such an educational tool. If you are a first-time designer, please check them out. We have learned so much. Knew nothing about advertising a game, and we are self-funded, and we're musicians. So you can only imagine we put as much as we could, every penny we had, and then some, I have to admit, um, and making the best of it. And here we are. I want to say maybe 20 months later, maybe 18 months later, and we're fully funded. We're almost at 100,000 Canadian on Kickstarter, and I'm so excited that like 810 people or something want to play my game. I'm so excited.
Yes, that's
Um,
amazing. I looked at it was
so
like 700% funded at the moment, and it funded within 2 hours.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that is amazing.
it was a very stressful 2 hours until that happened, I have to say. But
I think that
that's
I
kind
was
of the
actually
beauty.
the one that messaged you.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah, you
"You're
were.
funded," and you're like,
I know.
"What?"
I was like, wait, this just happened. I missed it. um, no, it has been absolutely exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. At all times, it is both.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
anyway, that was kind of a tangent on how it came to be. But when it comes
No,
to the
but I think that
artwork,
that's an amazing story because you
yeah,
never intended on becoming a board game designer,
not
right?
initially,
Like that
no,
was not your
yeah,
goal. This was just something that was like you were kind of pushed in this direction. So, would you say that your sister is a board gamer?
no.
Okay,
She
so that's
enjoys a
another
board game. She's a
aspect of
casual
it that I
gamer.
think is so interesting is that
Yeah,
you have made a board game for people who are not board gamers. But
yeah.
I know that you have several things in the works now because it has really launched you in the direction of
Yes.
designing board games professionally, not just making it out of Christmas tree box.
Right?
um,
Uh,
but I do think that that part is so interesting. And I know that you made it a Regency era game for your sister who works in a Regency era type of setting. Was that the reason why you chose the Regency era, or was it just?
I think, I mean, it was a gift for her. And knowing that
Mm-hmm,
that is something that's such a deep love for her, and I love it as well, it's such a mutual thing. It just made sense. And if I hadn't
mm-hmm.
made it first, I probably would have made a Regency era game anyway at some point.
Yeah.
Um, Jane Austen is just, oh, she's such a force of nature in the feminine author space. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
we have to pay tribute to her. She made I think something like 800 and something pounds in her life, which for a woman in that time is monumental, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but her legacy lives on, and every single person who watches any Regency movie or wants to write any Regency story or any game, I feel like it's her legacy that was the seed that was planted to do all that. So um, I think it was inevitable because I just love her so much. And this isn't
Yes.
a Jane
I
Austen
mean,
game. I want to be clear about that. It's not. But
right.
the way she verbalizes that world makes you fall in love with it and want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the essence that I really wanted to capture. I'm not Jane Austen. I'm never ever going to claim him anywhere near. She's an absolute genius, obviously. But I wanted to pay tribute to her, but
Yes.
not with her works. I wanted to say, you've inspired me in a way, wherever she is. Um, so that's why we've actually dedicated this first edition to her. It's in our instructions. It is the main
Mm-hmm.
dedication. is to her. So yeah.
Now, am I right
I don't know if that
in
answers your
the
question,
fact
Ashley.
that, no, you're good. Am I right in the fact that you wrote everything yourself?
Yes.
No
Well,
AI used for anything?
oh, okay. Let's have the AI conversation. Absolutely not.
No.
Never. And
Yeah, no.
um, you can like literally like just hold me to this forever. I will never ever use AI, and I will come out there saying it loud and proud. I think AI is theft. Sorry,
Oh,
I
yeah, for
understand.
sure.
In the creative field, I think it's theft because it's taking that human connection. The reason we have art, the reason we have literature written by people, is so you can connect with someone you've never met, but you connect through
Hmm.
thought and feeling. And that's where, like, sure, AI makes things that look like art, I guess, or sound like art, but that there's something so lost there. And so, people have been having that conversation about music forever. Like, oh, there's digital instruments. You don't need live musicians anymore. I'm like, what? Are you serious? That's not a thing. I'm sorry that connection's lost. Not that it doesn't serve a purpose as a tool in some ways, but not
Yeah.
in art. So no, I wrote every word, and Devin is the editor. I'm the big picture thinker and the writer, and I'm the one who's cranking out all the ideas. And then we sit down together. One of the reasons I fell for him, I always used to put people I would go on dates with through a test on how they felt about punctuation, ironically the name of our company. And if
Hmm.
they did not value the semicolon, they failed. um, and I will go down with the ship that the M dash should be everyday language. I use it in text messages. I use it everywhere. And if people accuse me of being AI because they use an M dash, well, that's a shame. That's such a shame. But no, he is what made it. He and I have this philosophy that like good literature tastes good in the mouth, if that makes sense. Like it feels like chocolate,
Yeah.
or it feels like a flavor. So when we work together and we sit down, we're like, oh, that doesn't feel right. That does not feel right in the mouth. When you read this out loud, and it's a game where you read it out
Yes.
loud, it has to feel as elegant as it's meant to portray through the game. And so we worked really well together. I will say that was the longest part of the process by
Oh,
far.
yeah, for sure.
But yes, we did all of it. And when it comes to the actual artwork, same thing. Um, we are again as artists, we believe in fair compensation for artists through and through. And I'll be frank, I could not afford to pay an artist what they're worth. I'm not going to try to find a student who will take pennies. I don't want to do that. I want to pay them what they're worth. So and I can't draw. I can't do it. I tried. I can't do it. It's really bad. So I found public domain like preservative libraries, I guess, that have
Hmm.
protected Regency era fashion plates and illustrations from books. It's all public domain, and then I incorporated it in a new way into the game. And then I did all the graphic design. And there are some things that I make shift through, but it means that you will see, for example, the fashion plates, like the little people that I named to make characters. You're going to see those pop up in other places. You're going to
Yeah.
see them in Regency books. You'll see them in other Regency games too, because other publishers have done the same thing. They use the public domain art because it's so rich in the culture.
Yeah.
It's so authentic to the culture. Why wouldn't you? So um, would I have hired an artist if I could have? 100%. But if I'm going to hire an artist, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to do what's
Hmm.
fair to them and respect their work. We have a mandate that we want to always incorporate. If we have an artist, they're going to get royalties on our games
Yeah.
because it's their art that is living on. Why they're a part
Hmm.
of it, of course they are. So like for our artist that we have lined up for our next game, we've already started working with her, and she's a delight. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I'm friends with her. um, we're happy that we are, because this campaign funded this way, we are able to start moving in that direction. But yeah, no AI. And someone asked me about this for a prototype. I just want to say this. There are people who use AI for prototypes. I understand if you're not feeling comfortable with your artistic skills that you want to do that. And I understand that it seems like the way to do it because prototyping is very expensive. I get it. I
Hmm.
get the idea behind it. For me personally, I would rather back a game on Kickstarter that has been hand drawn and doodled and says, I'm sorry, my art, it's pathetic, but here's the idea of my game and I really love it. And when I make this work, I'm paying an artist. I would rather back that
Yes.
than someone who used AI, because that is the intention, the respect of the artistic process. So yeah, I'm quite opinionated on that. um, I think it has to be humanity first in the gaming industry. I really do.
I agree.
So yeah.
I agree for sure. Now,
Anyway,
I
sorry,
know
that
that
was a
we
really long tangent.
I know that we touched on the fact that you used artwork that's very valued in the Regency era community currently,
Yeah,
but with Bridgerton becoming more and more popular, and
yeah,
there are more games coming out that are Regency era themed, how do you
yeah,
feel like Impropriety separates itself from the other games in that
yeah.
genre, like in Endearment?
Oh, and Dearman is a great example. So I love the fact that the Regency community is just like blossoming again. It's like it's got a new audience, new rebirth with Bridgerton. I think Bridgerton, it gets criticized a lot because it's seen a lot more as like maybe speculative fiction in a way.
Mm,
Like what if it had been this way instead, which I love. I love that aspect of it. But I think that it has invited so many people into what might have been seen as niche before, and intimidating before, and I love that. I think that's fantastic. Um, I admit I hadn't seen Bridgerton until after I had already been making the game. It was something my sister told me to do. She's like, "You have to watch the show. You will love it. It's Gossip Girl meets Jane Austen." I said, "Okay." Um, um, so I love that. And I also think that Regency Era games, the more the merrier. I think that, again, as long as they're all different and they all have a different take and they're expressing a true passion for it, I love that. I love that. There are a million dungeon crawlers out there. How many games
oh
come
yeah,
out about ancient Greece every year? Um, and I think that's great as long as they're all unique. There's a
yeah,
space for everyone. There's a favorite game for everybody, and I like to think that I will proudly sit on the shelf next to all of them. I'm happy for that. When it comes
yes,
to endearment, because like I get it, like our color scheme is similar to theirs, and theirs is a hugely massive tribute to Jane Austen. And they use public domain art as well. So I get why some people ask me like, how is this different? You know, the best way to explain is what Doxomnium did. I haven't played it. From what I know, is they took Jane Austen's works and made a whole sort of universe within her literary universe, and then they made a
mm-hmm.
game out of it. Um, where Impropriety is different is that it's not set in Jane Austen's universe at all. We like to think that because it's an original narrative, it's completely like an original novel wrapped in a board game, that it's the world that Jane Austen could be walking around in instead. So, for example, actually, our as like a little birthday gift, we kind of did is a little mini expansion pack. It's a 250th anniversary expansion pack for Jane Austen,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a character that you can make friends with in the game, and you can collect her books to make you more interesting as the accessories. And then there's Thomas Lefroy, who can be one of your friend escorts. It's just a little tiny expansion pack, so you can bring her into the game, but it's none of her works, none of them at all. I mean, there's
Right.
tropes, there's Regency tropes. That's they're everywhere, obviously, but no, ours is an original piece of fiction. So that's what separates them. The aesthetic of the
Mm-hmm.
Regency is what it is. They're gonna look similar, right? But again, I um, what's the word that is haunting me right now? Derivative. When someone says that my game is derivative of another game from the Regency era, I say, well, then you haven't read the rules, or you haven't read that it's a different game. It's a totally different game.
Yeah,
We just
it's
like flowers and pretty colors. Like, why is it that you just lump them
right.
together? I
Just
think
because
that's
you
so
made it
frustrating.
pretty doesn't mean that it's not unique, which it totally is. Like I said at the beginning,
Yes.
this is a game that I have never seen be put out. Like just the way that it is constructed and the way that it lays out is just so unique, and I absolutely love that. Now I know you
I appreciate
touched
that.
on your Jane Austen expansion, which I love that, but Impropriety is Volume 1. And you
Oh
also
yeah,
have
yeah.
Masquerade coming out as well.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that one?
Yes, I have such a deep love for just this idea. Like I'm just so I'm in love with it. So like a book series, Impropriety is Volume 1. And it's got this cast of I think 60 plus characters, I don't even know anymore, that you get attached to. in it. And one of those characters is Peter Applesby. And he's the poor stable boy who just loves the Lancasters so much he keeps proposing. But you turn him down because he's poor. Like, and that's so sad because Peter's a nice man, but you want to marry Lord Duffling. So that's the story of part one. But Peter keeps popping up. And I love self-made person story. Like, I just love those. So I said, we need a volume 2. So what we did was we took the idea that this is volume 1, a book. Let's write the sequel to it. And that's what Masquerade is. Peter Applesby comes back. There's been a couple of years in between, and he's actually friends with Lord Duffling and Lady Duffling, whoever it was who won. And you are a new set of sisters. You're the Shaughnessy sisters. And Peter is richer than ever, and he's the Studley one. And he's kind of the wild, outdoorsy guy. So totally different personality to Lord Duffling. And he wants to throw a masquerade because he was never able to attend one before. And he wants to just throw around his money to do it. The mechanisms in Impropriety, like this, the general gameplay is the same. But I wanted to, as each volume comes out, introduce more mechanisms that come with it. So it's like you're learning the system of Impropriety as it goes. So I wanted to get more devious, and I want to get a little bit more cheeky with it. So it's set in the city, so it's a little bit seedier in general. And you're still trying to collect all your items, but you're trying to collect the most cohesive costume. So for example, say you want to be, when I picture the ball, I picture, if you've ever seen Ever After, that movie.
Yes.
The masquerade in that is exactly what I picture when I have this masquerade in mind, with the big horse head, that she's got as her mask. And actually, I found one mask that looks like that. So you're trying.
I think that movie is so underrated, by the way. So underrated. It's so good.
Absolutely. Please watch it. If you have not seen Ever After, go watch it. So good. Anyway, sorry. So that's the masquerade picture. And so I picture, she's got the horse head, but she finds her love, who's also wearing a horse head, at the ball. And so I was like, I want this kind of quirkiness in here. So you're trying to find the feather plumes if you want to be the peacock, because that's your idea. And you're trying to find the blue dress that matches, but life doesn't work that way all the time. So you collect your items, but you might have to start collecting them, stealing them from other people to make your more cohesive costume. Because as the set collection part of this game, in Masquerade, the more components that match, the more likely you are to attract Peter Appleby's attention and get a successful proposal later. So you want to do everything you can to make your costume match. And so we installed, the secrets play a slightly different role in the first game. In the second game, they are the essence of maneuverability. So you take those secrets and you can blackmail so-and-so, or I eavesdrop on this rumor, I'm going to take your secret. Some of them are even private moments with Peter Applesby that enhance your chances even further. And the secrets move around a lot. There's also Masquerade tickets that we installed. Yeah, so Masquerade is a little bit, I want to say, a little bit more strategic. It's not brainbuster at all. We didn't want it to feel that way because it's still the story uncovering a new story. But it does have more stuff. So when you've played Impropriety Volume 1 a lot, and you're like, cool, I get this book. It's like I've read this book and I understand it. I want the next one. I want to know what happens next. You move into that, and it's just a little bit different. It's a little bit of a different game. So it feels like a standalone. So that's kind of how we designed it. And we have Volume 3 planned, and a Christmas Volume 4.
That is exciting.
This is not the end of the series at all. But one of the things I do want to make clear is that I don't like waste. Like, I don't like when things, I want to make sure that when someone's buying something, they're buying only what they need. So the base game, like, I could have made Masquerade a separate game if I wanted to.
Right.
I don't want to do that though. So all the pawns, all the tokens, the board itself are reused in Volume 2. You just install the new story onto it. So that's how I designed. The game board design is very, very deliberate in that sense, that all the symbols on it can change their meaning volume to volume. So
I'm wondering though too is like basically you would need to buy Impropriety to have the board and all of that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
But like it would be possible for somebody to purchase Volume 3 and just go ahead and dive into that. Maybe the story might not make
the board.
complete.
They'll
Huh?
need the board too. So
Yeah.
it'll all come back to the game board. Um,
Okay.
so it is an expansion in a weird way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just like throwing in more cards. You add in more content. It doesn't work that way. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so Volume 3 will work the same way as Volume 2. We're actually planning it to be like the Sanditon-esque. For those of
Hmm.
you who watch the seaside sort of vacation vibes, that's what a Seaside Jubilee is what's planned for Volume 3. And then Volume 4 is all of the main families from the other volumes and all the characters get together. And there's 4 houses that are competing to throw the Yuletide ball that will attract the queen to
Oh,
attend.
that's exciting.
So that's the biggest of all the games I have planned. There's a
Hmm.
lot more in that game. There's that one will be a standalone. That will have a separate board. But
Okay.
to get the nutrients out of that game, you want to know the first 3 to really like see the layers. You can play it on its own, but I
Right.
wanted to feel like the 4th and final installment in Impropriety. So anyway, those are my master plans. So, and that's just the
Well,
Impropriety series. That's
right.
not Modiste.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. So you've already covered some things that we can anticipate from you, but you have clued me into some other projects that you have had going as well. And you recently pitched an idea to Panda, and I would like for you to tell everybody how that went as well.
Sure. That was really exciting. So when we had first originally planned to launch Impropriety in September, but then we found out that
Hmm.
Endearment was going to launch in September too. And Duxomnia is such a strong force of nature in the game community, and I think they just have such a huge audience, which is so wonderful. But there's no way I could have entered that space and not given Impropriety the space I felt it deserved. So we decided to delay the launch by 6 months. That was really hard financially. I'm not gonna lie, that was a really big challenge because we'd already invested so much into it. But Endearment knocked it out of the park. People are really excited about Regency games. So when we want to launch now, that was great. But I can't sit still. So I decided originally there wasn't a solo mode. And then I had a moment where I'm like, I love solo gaming. Why isn't there a solo mode in this? And I don't like when games just throw a solo mode in. I don't like that. I want it to feel like the solo experience is just as valuable because it's not lesser than a multiplayer experience. It is not. I think it is such a genuine and intimate experience with the best company in the world, yourself. So I wanted to make a
Yes.
unique solo mode. And I will always do that in every game. If I don't make a game that can have a solo mode, I've done something wrong. I always want to incorporate a solo mode. I even want to do solo games. Like I love that medium. I think it's so great. Um, but so I started working on the solo mode, and just in the middle of the night, because I'm an insomniac, um, I get up and Devin's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I have an idea." He wakes up in the morning and I've made Modiste.
Oh my
There's a
goodness.
game on the table with all my crafting stuff. And I'm like, sit down. He's like barely woken up. I'm like, sit down. We're playing this. I've invented a game. He's like, okay. And we sit down and it's like, oh, this just came out of your head. I was like, yeah, I don't know. It just happened. I don't know how to explain it. It was just such a thing. It just like it sparked, and I was like, I knew how it was going to work. And that's not the final version. We obviously workshopped it to death after, but like
Yeah.
it worked well enough to see the magic in it right away. And I was like, this is our
Hmm.
next game. This has to be. I'm in love with this. This is happening. While Impropriety is simmering and evolving, we are going to make this. And then we found out about the Panda contest. And Impropriety, I wasn't going to enter Impropriety into that contest because I think it's unique, but not in the way that they were looking for. Um, they wanted innovation. That was a big thing. And so Modiste is a puzzle strategy game where you are a modiste, a fashion designer in the 19th century. Um, and you are trying to establish yourself by making all these creative designs with fabric underneath, and then there are these clear plastic overlays that go and change the trim on the dress. And you have to follow the trends that happen. And I know you've gotten a sneak peek of the video submission that we had, and it's actually on our website if anyone wants to take a look at it. Um, so Modiste is a different beast entirely than Impropriety, but it follows our mantra if we want to lead with art first and creativity
Mm-hmm.
first. So it still goes with our series. So we found out about the contest. And I was like, okay, we are in overdrive now. We are going to make this happen because that contest submission, I think, was like 3 months later. And so we had
Yes.
to get it play tested. Play testing is so important and so hard to do when you are nobody. That is a really hard process. We couldn't afford to go to cons. That was a big part. Like, we had spent so much money on prototypes, so much, it's crazy, that we had to make Modiste from nothing, from the crafts I had in my drawer. So we had people playtesting, and I'm pretty out there. I'll be like, hey, we went and we saw people who were playing, I think D&D. I was like, you guys just wrapped up your game. Can you try something for me? So I had all these guys. I did not think they would like this random dressmaking game. they really enjoyed it. It was so funny. I loved it. Anyway, so we got random playtesters. We had we playtested it to death. We got lots of feedback. Devin is the logistics guy, so he's like getting all the timings and everything. Like, we did so much data collection on it too. And then we made this whole presentation. We submitted it, and I said, what's the worst that can happen? We never hear from them again. And Panda's actually our manufacturer as well. So we felt a little bit of a connection there, but so less scary, just a tiny bit, but it's still scary. And we found out we're finalists. I'm like, oh, what? We are in the final round, so we had to have an interview with them. It was great. So it was the Panda 25 and 25 manufacturing sponsorship. And the winner was going to get $25,000 US for their production of that game. We didn't win. Another very amazing game. I don't know much about it, but has won. And we knew that if we weren't going to win, it had to be to the next coming when it comes to a game. And the finalists were all spectacular. Like Chicken Fried Dice, shout out to that game that is on Kickstarter right now. I want to meet that designer one day. We were both finalists for that contest. It's so funny. We were talking. We kind of bonded after. And I was like, I swore you won. He's like, I swore you won. So that was kind of a fun moment. But fantastic game. And so we won the second prize, which is $5,000 US towards our manufacturing.
That's still amazing.
The stipulation is huge because that means that I can do it right. You know what I mean? So I was so I get more prototypes out there, which is the thing. Impropriety hasn't seen too much light of day because I couldn't. So the only stipulation of that contest is that you have to have your crowdfunding done within a year. And Impropriety was already the next one up. So I'm like, okay, this is so weird. I have to do this as my second game, and I have to do it right after. And I know there's a faux pas in the industry of I don't like when I haven't received my game and the next one's already crowdfunding. I get that. I understand that trepidation. I really do. There's nothing I can do about it in this case.
Your hand's kind of forced in that direction, and I think that,
But what we did do to mitigate that is Impropriety is done. Like, it is ready to go. We have to polish the stretch goals because we didn't know how many we were going to achieve. But basically, when the pledge manager and the late pledges close, we're hitting send. We go through that little bit of pre-production approval process, and then we're fulfilling. So when Modiste goes live, Impropriety is on ships going to people. And I'm a huge proponent of transparency. The second I know, you'll know. If you invested in our game, you should know where it is in the process. I might be over communicative. I don't care. I'm going to be transparent about it.
No,
if there's some global shipping disaster, well, I don't know why more people don't. Like, this might be a random thing, but like, in talking to the Chicken Fried Dice designers, we realized there are so many things that we did. There's no one right way to do this. And we had no idea. And there's no rule book. No one talks about it. You have to all make your own mistakes. Why is that? Why isn't it that there's some coalition of small designers that are just more open about it? What are the things to look for? Like, I'm not going to lie. I became obsessed with reading Kickstarter comments and complaints. And like games that just never show up. And I'm like, oh, I can't have this happen. Or confusion on a Kickstarter page. Can't have this happen. I want to be transparent. Like, I will never say Impropriety is strategic. It's not.
No.
I'm not going to sell you a game that takes a lifetime to master or whatever a strategic game is in slogan, because that's not fair. So transparency, I think, is key. And I don't like being sold a slogan. And I think also in this process as publishers, why aren't we a little bit more open about what we've learned and prevent someone else from having that pain, and going through that, or losing a lot of money because they didn't know better, because no one talks about it. And sorry, that's just
Yeah.
a little tangent. That's why I appreciate people like
No.
Stonemeyer. He has his design diary series on YouTube, and I watch them. I'm like, thank you. You've made the most amazing games ever. And you still say things that you would tweak. I love that. Yes, admit that you're
Yeah.
human in this game process. I respect that. Right? I'm not gonna say Impropriety's perfect.
I
Nuh-uh.
love Jamie. He is so sweet. Like, you look at his page, it's like, I have a cat. And I'm like,
I know, right? I've met him.
I love
I
it.
want to. I want to. I respect him so much as a designer. I want to be like him. And his team, just so wonderful. I think that us small publishers have to not try to climb over each other, but work together, because I think there's way more
Mhm.
beneficial things that can come from collaborating versus competing. I understand it's a very competitive market. I
Oh,
totally
yeah.
understand that. If you don't have your business hat on in this, you're done for.
You have
But
to
that
be
doesn't
smart
mean
about
you
who
have to
you
be
work with,
cruel.
for sure. Yeah.
I'd rather make more friends than enemies.
Yeah.
And I hope to meet all these people in person at cons. And booths are really expensive. Maybe there's a great opportunity to meet and share the expenses on that, so we can get all of our games out
Yeah.
there. Why not? Right? I'm sorry, that was a little bit of a rant, because I have some peeves. I just like
Yeah, I know.
transparency. I don't even remember the question now. I'm sorry, I don't remember the question. Um, I'm just so passionate about the whole thing, and I'm just so passionate about. I fell in love with this industry too, and the creative process, and designing and designers. Like, I just like authors. They're like authors. If I
Yes.
love an author, I'll read everything they wrote. If I love a game by someone, I will play everything that they have ever made, because I respect the process so much. So anyway, it's a random thing, but yeah. Ask me another question, otherwise I'll just keep going.
No, you're good. I see a fellow sheep is on here, and they just wanted to say it's a great community and love meeting, working so many incredible people. Fellow sheep are actually board game designers themselves in the process
I think we
of
follow each
getting
other.
out
Yeah,
their first game. They are
yeah,
very sweet people. Margaret and Preston, I absolutely love them. You mentioned that you'd rather see handwritten games than somebody using AI.
yes.
I have personally prototype tested handwritten games from them, but they are just the sweetest people. I love
Love
them.
it.
But something else I wanted to touch on is I know you are coming out with a whole series of games for Impropriety, continuing the
Yeah,
story, building on that and everything. But then you have Motif coming out that is I'm not going to say that it is exactly like Canvas, but the vibe and the way that the
sure.
components work remind me so much of Canvas, and
Yep.
it is one of my favorite games. So I am super excited about Motif
Cool.
making little dresses and being like the top designer or whatever they come out to be on my
Yay.
end, hopefully. I actually explained it to my husband. I was like, this is the way that the game will work, and we're going to play it, and it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
And he was like,
I love that.
okay. I thought I actually explained it very well last night, even though my brain was completely
Love
fried.
it.
And then you have a Euro game coming out. So I love the fact that punctuation games, it's not going to be one dimensional. Like, you have a storytelling game that you're producing, but then you have a Euro, and then you have one that's more of a resource management type of game. I don't know if you consider the pieces of Motif as resources for the skirts
It's got the
and
marketplace
such.
in it. That one I'm gonna keep under wraps a little bit more. You can see it on our website and
Right,
see what
yes.
it's
I don't
about,
want to go
but
into it too much, but I just love the fact that we should expect multifaceted things coming from punctuation games. Also,
I really
I
appreciate
also
that.
want to, yeah, I also want to touch on the fact that I love the name of your company, and that's what like made me want to reach
Oh,
out to you to begin with, because I was like,
so sweet.
like it's punctuation games. I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh my God, the number of times I get autocorrected.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure.
Um, as I said, I will. defend the semicolon and all that. I tend to think I go against the grain, and I'm okay with that. I say often I have foot and mouth syndrome, where I do feelings first, always. Is kind of how I live my life. And so I'm a punk. I'll just put it out there. I want to revolutionize things that need to change. I will be that voice. As you can see, my opinions are out there. I'm pretty, what you see is what you get. So, yeah, punctuation games. I'm going to try to redesign the logo, I think, so that that's more apparent. We'll see. I'll figure that out. Logo design is hard.
Oh
Graphic
yeah,
designers who are good
I
at
think
that,
that it looks
oh,
great as it
props.
is right now. Maybe if you adjusted it, depending on if you change up the theme to something more edgy, you can like do
Yeah,
a
see. I gotta
reinventation,
try
I
to
guess.
get like the pretty nature of our games into the logo, but also the edginess. So, I think it's funny that our initials are PG because we have a clean romance game. So I just figured, okay, I'll just roll with that for now. I have other fish to fry. It's fine. So like on Instagram, you'll just see PG, and I'm like, okay, all right.
Oh my gosh.
It always makes me laugh. That's one of those things you don't think about until after you've already done it, and you're like, okay, whatever. It's out there now. This is what we are. So,
You
yep.
need to do one that's like not punctuation games or something like that. If somebody
Yeah, I
like
don't
comes up
know.
with something
I have so many
edgy
best
like
friends. I
that,
have no idea.
or
I want to
anti
do
PG
escape
something.
room
I
stuff.
don't know. Just thinking off the top of my head there, probably not the best ideas, but that's
You
fine.
had brainstorming where magic happens. Let's do it. I like it. Yeah.
Now, I am super excited on something that we are planning on working together on. And
Yeah.
I think that it's something that's very much needed in the community.
Yes.
But I don't want to give too much away because this is like a very new idea.
I think we can tease it a little bit. I wouldn't mind teasing it. I think Vanessa would be okay with that too. There may be a unification force coming to the gaming community, um, that branches over many continents, many countries, and is a female forward voice that's going to be added to the gaming community space. And we have the right people for it. It's going to be very exciting. I think it's needed, um, in this community. Just from having made games, like I think quote unquote called girly. I don't even know. I like coining things like that. But I will say it was an interesting thing. I think I studied to be a conductor. That's what I did for 10 years when I was in Vancouver. I started at a really young age, and that is a very male dominated industry. Always has been. The music world kind of is. And I'll never forget when I was preparing for a symposium in university, what an older professor that had just retired said to me, "No one will ever take you seriously on the podium because you're a girl." I will never forget that. That sits like a little mosquito on my shoulder all the time. And I botched that symposium because that was what was talking to me all the time. I'm like, this is so wrong. And that's not the only story you have in the music world like that. It's awful, awful for that. And when I came into the gaming side of things, um, I'm glad everything is evolving, but I found there is a little bit of that still. And Devin is really big into like WoW, like he runs a group on Sundays and so forth.
Okay.
And he said it's just brutal in the online gaming space. And so, as I said, if I see something that I want its attention drawn to it, I'm happy to be the voice. If people love me or hate me, I'd rather that extreme than lukewarm because someone has to
Right.
say something, right?
All right.
So
I
it'll make for an
definitely love
entertaining
you.
podcast. And so we have Heather here, and I want to give a shout out to one of my best friends, the opera board gamer, Vanessa. She's in Germany. She's an opera singer, so we bonded first over music, actually, and board games. It was very cool. And we're going to start off with the three of us, and I make stuff happen. We're gonna make it happen. So I might as well just say it. We're doing this. This is happening. I don't know what we're gonna call it yet. We'll come up with a cool name, and we're gonna have our husbands on as guests.
Yes.
And other female designers. Let's have female game publishers. Let's talk about stuff that's not talked about. I'm game. Like, I'm ready. Let's do
Yes, I am so excited. I already have a whole list of people that I want to reach out to have included on this. I'm just so excited. But we have been on for a little bit longer than I had anticipated. So I do want to wrap it up right here for right now. Thank you everybody so much for sticking in here with us and being engaging. But we will see you next time, and I'll post up some. Yep. Don't forget, we are on the final 48 hours of Impropriety being on Kickstarter. So make sure you go check it out if you have not already, and let us know what you think. And we hope to see you again soon.